Radio 8. Here it comes! Hey, run that thing up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Grade A Wrestling Podcast. It's your boy Musa. I got my guy Ty here with me. How's everyone doing? How we doing today?
Well, it's
Ty?
just two of us. So
I know. I'm always talking to the chat already.
Doing good.
We got a lot to talk about, man. It's the best time of the year is here. Wrestlemania season.
Yep.
We just had a great AEW spring break-in. We got so much to talk about, man. People potentially moving, leaving companies, joining other companies. We got the official top 50 list of WrestleMania matches of all time from WWE. We're going to discuss that as well. And we're going to give our own top 10 WrestleMania matches of all time, in our opinion. So if you're watching the show, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on who you think and what is the best WrestleMania match of all time. So, Ty, we're going to start off with AEW. They recently just had their spring break-in show in Boston. It was a good show. We had some title changes. One of the biggest ones was the Trios Championships were changed. The Death Riders lost to Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs. Happy he's finally a champion. And I'm gonna let you pronounce the other guy's name because I'm not botching the name.
Shimada.
Yeah, it's too early to botch names right now. But what was your thoughts on the match? I thought it was a great match overall.
I thought it was a great match. And it kind of sucks because this should have been the finish that should have happened with Swerve and Mox, because you can feel it. You can feel the energy that the Death Riders, a lot of people don't like, the gimmick, whatever. But I'm gonna be completely honest. This is how hellish it could get. They're a top heel faction. But I think the biggest problem is not seeing the world title. I think it hurts the company rather than help it. But I'm glad they took the trios belts off of them, so we only have to focus on the world title, getting it off of Mox. But Samoa Joe putting him to sleep.
Beautiful.
Shout out to Samoa Joe.
Clip's favorite moment, I promise you.
And it looks like they will be feuding for the belt. I assume Mox goes over because they're not gonna let him get choked out twice.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Joe's I think he won every title there.
Yeah,
AEW?
technically he's an AEW Grand Slam champion.
Yes, I couldn't.
Yeah, world title, TNT, and trios.
Fernando, what's up, man? Appreciate you commenting and joining. Happy Mania Friday. Yes, I agree with you and Ty's point. I think the main event was a fulfilling finish. I love the aftermath of and I'm not sure if you touched on it yet because my internet blanked out for some odd reason, but I'm not sure if you touched on like the aftermath of the match where they had the celebration in the ring with the champagne. Samoa Joe got on the mic. It was a nice little post-show touch. And it would have been dope for us to go there, but I know they're going to be here on this Saturday, tomorrow, for the I can't think of the show's name, but it should be a good card nonetheless.
That Collision was yesterday.
Didn't they do a Saturday show too? Oh, it was pre-recorded. Never mind, pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Fernando with another comment. Moxley will get his loss back from Swerve. I agree. The question is, when are you going to put a plug on that? I believe they're going to drag it out a little bit longer, but this could be the first crack in the armor for the Death Riders. I'm still wondering where we have Nick and Matt staying in this whole debacle, but I like the story that they're telling. AEW does a good job of telling some good stories here and there, but then forget about the rest of the card. And that's the problem we have with AEW for at least the last year or so. But speaking of,
actually, Collision was live, so we could talk about Collision. Well, I can because you probably didn't watch it, but so
I got some of it.
Pretty much, Mox said Death Riders want nothing to do with the Young Bucks. So I wonder how it's gonna go down, but I'm pretty sure they'll still help Mox. I believe at the end of the day, because I think it's a whole bigger storyline where Jack Perry somehow gets involved, but we'll see down the line. But I agree with you. They're gonna drag this out, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're still waiting for Darby to come back.
So what up? Yes, I agree, and I'm also interested to see where they take the storyline with Hook, because remember Hook was under the investigation with the attack that happened earlier in the show. So I'm interested to see that's how they kind of intertwine that with the storyline nonetheless. But I'm excited to see where this goes. But I can't wait for to see Death Riders fully break up, because I would love to see Willa, Yuta, Claudio kind of do their own thing and see where it takes them. Moxley can take a little break. He has done some great character work since he's been in AEW. He has some laps for sure, but overall he's been really, really good in the company. Fernando with Joe versus Moxley at Double or Nothing. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but maybe even adding Swerve into that equation, and potentially, like you just said, Ty, depending on when Darby comes back from Mount Everest, you might make a 4-way match and then tell the story that way. So I love. Oh, go ahead.
Nah, you can finish.
No, I was just gonna say I love what the options they have at their disposal with the main title.
Yeah, I think Darby should be done like a couple days before double or nothing. So he'll probably return at Double or Nothing. So they have two options: drag the Joe and Moxley match pretty much to Double or Nothing, or have it on a Dynamite in between, and a lot of screwy stuff happens, and that's how you get a triple threat at Double or Nothing. But yeah, we'll see. I do think, that's the thing. Exactly what Fernando is saying. I'm torn right now because I want Swerve to get his second reign, but something tells me it's either Darby or Ospreay.
And I wouldn't mind seeing a heel Ospreay versus a Darby Allin feud storyline down later on in the year. That would be a nice story to tell. Swerve can definitely find his way into this equation, especially when you have Omega and Okada going to have their feud for the title, where they're going to merge the titles. I think that's going to be box office right there. And then the next thing we're going to actually talk about, which is what we're going to do with this superstar, and that's Mercedes Moné. She won her semifinal match in the Classic versus Athena. She's on a run right now. What people don't talk about enough, because she's in AEW, I believe, and she's doing it throughout other promotions. But she's on one of those Roman Reigns type of runs, as far as her dominance in matches go. She's been one of the best superstars in wrestling, period. So I want to give her flowers for that. She's always been my favorite out of the Force Horsewoman. But my question is, when do you think they're going to put a plug on her becoming the AEW World Champion? And then when do you believe will be the plug where they have her lose her first singles match since this is a dominant run? And who would the person be? Because at this point, it can't just be anyone to beat her. It has to be someone that they're either going to build up or that's credible.
Yeah, we'll talk about their Wednesday match. Athena and Mercedes tore the place down.
Oh yeah, that gave me Bianca.
I don't get none of the hate towards Mercedes. I think a lot of people hate how she left the WWE given the situation. But dude, that match so fire, and I think they need to run it back. And I think Athena, how I would do it, I think Athena needs to take the TBS title off of her. I don't want it to be like, a Stephanie type booking. You know, how we've seen her grab both belts, defend one, then drop it, and focus on the world title. So I'd rather Mercedes lose the TBS title. She still has a bunch of other titles, so that shouldn't matter. Then she gets the AEW world title. But I do think a lot of people think it's going to happen so quick, but I actually think they're going to play it out. And that's how I would do it. I know Mercedes versus Tony would be a fantastic match. But I'd rather her not take it off of Tony, I would say. Because I think who needs to beat Tony is pretty much, is a hill. But I'm kind of leaning toward Megan Bayne taking the belt off of Tony. Because the way they're booking her, like, you got to give her some credibility. So she can't take the TBS title off of Mercedes because there's too much hills. But I think they do play it out. I don't even think Mercedes wins the Owen. That's me.
Oh, so who you have winning the Owen? And then Fernanda, I agree. I think that's not with the stakes per se, but I think that's the match they should be looking long term. And that's whether Mercedes has all the belts or even she doesn't have the belts. Mercedes and Toni Storm has to be the end game for this division, especially considering the fact how much Mercedes elevated all the other belts, the TBS, the strong style title. To culminate in her run is her versus Tony. Now, I'm actually disagreeing with you, Ty. I think she should beat Tony. I think if anyone can catapult this division even higher, it's Mercedes, given her aura with the character. The mic work is another conversation. She has improved, but it's still lagging. I think she needs like a Prince Nana or a Paul Heyman type character. But all in all, when it comes to the ring work, the presentation, it's all there. It's just the promo. So I believe she can be that next big heel. She can be for the women's division what MJF was for that small stint, but much higher as far as the heel that everyone hates and wants to see lose and get their ass kicked, if you're being honest. So that's what kind of my mindset with that. But all in all, that's going to be a box office match and it should main event, in my opinion, regardless of who's on the card.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, but if we're going, like, let's say we're booking all in, like, that's most likely the time where, Ospreay's getting his belt. Then especially they're being in Texas, so you might see a Moxley versus Ospreay, Texas death match to main event.
More blood and guts. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So I'd rather not, put Mercedes and Tony on the, Jey Uso Gunther spot.
Right.
That's a big of a match to main event, and pretty much catapult their women's division. But to go on with the Owen, I think it depends because exactly. I think the Athena Mercedes being at All In and not main eventing, I'm fine because they're still gonna probably steal the show anyways.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to the Owen, it depends because if it's Statlander in the finals with her, I don't see them having Mercedes pretty much beat Statlander 3 times in a row.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
If it's Hayter versus Mercedes, I really want Jamie Hayter to get back in the title picture.
Can we get Willow? Can we get I want to say Willow back into the picture feud, title feud? I'm sorry, I got a lot going. I'm multitasking right now. But now I would love to see her back into the title feud, especially because it started off with her and Mercedes. I mean, Mercedes broke her ankle starting with her.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
A nice little touch to kind of rekindle that flame, but that's something that's far-fetched for giving.
Yeah, I think that's more perfect world title. Mercedes got the belt. The number one person that should take it off of her is Willow.
Yeah. And don't forget about I forget her name, but Hartley.
Harley Cameron.
Cameron, yes.
Yeah, they're going in depth with that story.
I love what they're doing with her. Her character work's actually entertaining with the whole puppet and everything. That'd be a nice little way to kind of. And again, the beauty about Mercedes having all those belts is she can lose to so many different people and tell a great story, and no one will be upset about it. Like I feel like she can lose one of those belts too. Harley, you have Athena, you have Jamie, and then yet she could still be the best woman in the division in the company with her dethroning Tony at some point. Exactly. And I think that's the perfect feud to go, like we just mentioned, because of how much opposites attract. They're both great in-ring psychology workers, along with Mercedes not being the best in the promo realm, but you have someone like Tony who's phenomenal at telling the story and getting people invested in a match. So it kind of offsets, and it's the perfect seasoning for the gumbo, in my opinion. So, but we can move on. We have another special match that came up, and that was the men's quarterfinal. Adam Page, Hangman against my guy, the walking weapon, Josh Alexander, made his debut at AEW. I'm still kind of heartbroken because I would have loved him to reunite the North in NXT, especially with Stand and Deliver this weekend. It would have been a perfect way to have them rekindle that flame and kind of take over in that NXT division. But nonetheless, Josh and Hangman tore the house down. It was a great match. What was your thoughts on the match?
Like Fernando just said, that match was fire. Overall, this episode of Dynamite I thought was the best, not only the best this year, but the best in a long time, in my opinion. Because it was just banger after banger. I'm like, how do you go from watching that Mercedes and Athena match? Like, how do you get better? Josh Alexander coming out, having a banger with Hangman. I thought it was perfect. And him turning heel and joining the Don Callis family.
Perfect.
Dude, they can do so much with him. It's just ridiculous.
He reminds me of a certain wrestler as far as his intensity in the ring. Obviously, he won't be named. If you know, you know. They're both Canadian. They're both Canadian, ironically. But I just love the intensity he brings in the matches, and him, like you said, like you just mentioned, him joining the Don Callis family, it helps him more as far as his character work because he doesn't have to say much on the mic. Don can do all the talking, and it's not that Josh is not a good promo because he's pretty solid as a promo guy. He can tell a story in the ring if you need him to get on the mic, so he doesn't lack in that department. But now that he could just really focus on going to the ring, hurting people, being that machine, he can be what they wanted Brian Cage to be, basically.
Yeah, the muscle.
Exactly. So, but he's more technical with it and savvy. So I think that's the beautiful part about it. And you don't have to rush the storyline either because you have so much going on with the main title. Then you have Okada and Kenny. You could kind of give him the small little feud, a good feud to sink his teeth in and kind of build it up slowly but surely till the right time. Because who knows? You can have a Jay White Alexander feud later in the year, depending on when his timetable is to return. That's a banger right there in and itself. And then you have so many options. So I agree with you. I love him pairing with the Don Callis family.
Yeah, I think they're gonna start off trios. I think it's gonna be Takeshita, Alexander, Fletcher. That's gonna be the trios team. And now that we got the belts off of the Death Riders, you're gonna see way, way more trios matches. I don't think he'll give Lance Archer the boot because they need somebody to take those pins.
I didn't say something a little bit more better on Lance's part, but he's like, nah, you got to eat the pins. That's all that is.
That's what I'm saying. So Archer's the big guy, but he loses too much. So he can't be the muscle, you know. But that's where you get Alexander. You feel me? Then probably later on, Don Callis could kick Lance Archer out because he's not needed. You know, they got Josh Alexander.
And we touched a little bit on the Ospreay chances of becoming the champ. So we won't spend too much time on his match. I want to get into the We Hurt People segment of the show. The Hurt Syndicate retained against the Gates of Agony. MJF is still trying to be persuasive in his remarks. I would love to hear your thoughts on that match and the storyline between the Hurt Syndicate and MJF.
It was another good match. Gates of Agony right now, probably the most underrated tag team. They get no love. They're barely on TV.
I can see that.
But dude, they can go. they could go. And I wish they have a better run. And I think the good thing about having the Hurt Syndicate with the tag belts, it just creates the opportunity. You're gonna see more and more tag teams get these title shots, and I think overall, one of these underrated teams got to take the belt off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want to see them lose to Young Bucks. I don't want to see them, as much as I would love it, FTR. Nah, I don't want to see that. Even if MJF brings in his own faction to take the belts off, I kind of don't want to see that, even though I think it's going to happen. But overall, this story is amazing. And I told you from the jump when they teased it, I'm like, they have to fully go through with it. So I don't want to see him join for like a week or two.
And that would be my next question.
Then they, you feel me, end it. I want to see a Owen Hart in the nation.
So hold that thought real quick, because that was gonna be my next question to you. And Fernando has a great comment I'm going to show up in just a second. What would you, if you was the one booking this, and then I can speak on my point of view right afterwards. If you was the one booking this, how would you book MJF joining the Hurt Syndicate? Or would you not have him join?
I think the best way to do it, I would have him join, because they're a heel faction. This is probably the greatest heel AEW can offer. This changes things. This is having a heel team and everyone loves their segments, rather than Death Riders having a heel team where no one loves their segments, you know? So how I would do it, pretty much, it seems that MVP's all for him. He just got Shelton pretty much. But like Fernando's saying, there's that he has to win over Bobby Lashley.
Mm-hmm.
I think how you win over Bobby Lashley is you bring in someone else. It can be a Cedric Alexander. It can be someone else to tag team with Shelton, hold the belts, and MJF has Bobby Lashley go get that TNT title or even go get the international title.
Okay.
I think that's the only way you win Bobby Lashley over. Or even have Bobby Lashley even try to go get the world title. And overall, MJF's plan is to take the belt back.
So I'm glad you said that because that kind of segues you tagging me in. So this is the route I would go if I was booking this. I would have MJF join Hurt Syndicate. I would have him help them win and retain the tag titles against a popular tag team, someone even the Realms of Gates of Agony if you want to run that back. Have him join. Bobby finally earns Bobby's trust. And the reason why I put the quotations around that is because he gets invested and joins the Hurt Syndicate. And down the line, they're dominant. They do what they got to do. MJF might even get the TNT title. You then have Hurt Syndicate turn on MJF. Cost him the belt if you give him a TNT title. If you want to do that, an international title, whatever you want to do. You have Bob, because I will prefer Bobby and Shelton and MVP as the heels, because I know MJF can work and do numbers as a face. Even though I prefer him character-wise as a heel, but for this storyline, if I was to have them separate at some point, I would rather turn him face before I turn Bobby face. So have Bobby and the crew turn on MJF, and then you run that feud. Because you can go, and I'm going to kind of still to the point you made, you can go as far as the lines of having MJF win the AWR title again. Her Syndicate has it, and then you get kind of like a evolution kind of moment in this ring with celebration where you get the thumbs up and then the thumbs down, and that starts off the feud there. You could add in the Cedric Alexander to this, so now you have 3 men on the hillside with the Hurt Syndicate. And then to Fernando's comment, you have FTR join MJF. And now you have a kind of a 3v3 feud as well. So that's kind of where my mindset will go with booking this. This will be more on the Triple H side where it's long term, obviously. This wouldn't be something that's a short run. This will be a probably like a 6 to 8 month year-on storyline. And depending how good it gets, you could tell it for a year, depending on how you want to do this with the contracts and things of that nature. So that would be my mindset on doing this. We also have a comment from Maria. Shout out to Maria. Hello, welcome to the show. Appreciate you commenting. Maria also mentioned that Bobby and MJF is a good feud. Yes. And we just gave our thoughts on how would we book it if we was the booker. If we was TK, how will we book this feud? And that'll be my overall take on how I will book the Her Syndicate MJF feud.
Yeah, because definitely if you're booking at MJF versus Bobby Lashley, I think a title got to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best way.
Absolutely. Moving on, we're going to go right into the WWE side of things. And before we jump right into the weekly shows, we're going to go right into the WrestleMania. But before we do that, we used to talk about underrated teams like Gates of Agony, another underrated team I feel like doesn't get enough respect. And they're finally going to get their huge opportunity and break tomorrow. And that's NXT's Hank and Tank. Even when they first got presented, I just love something about their character work and their team. I love the Smash Mouth about like how they was presented. So shout out to those boys. They're gonna get a chance at the titles tomorrow against Fraxium. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about Stand and Deliver later on in the show. But back to WrestleMania, they have officially revealed the stage and set. So I'm gonna show the video. The video will be muted for copyright issues. just in case. I wanna make sure we get away from that. But here is the video. Yeah, Pat McAfee, we're gonna just skip past you. We not trying to hear that.
Yeah, Pat McAfee saying something about something like he always does.
So we're gonna start here.
You know, I like this. I like the set.
I do too. And again, for those who just joined in, yes, we're gonna show it muted just for copyright issues, just so we don't get any. But this gives me WrestleMania 20. I think it was 29.
Yeah,
No.
it's some WrestleMania I can't figure out, but it does. That was the first thing that popped in my head.
Tank remind me of Public Enemy from yes, that's probably what it is, Fernando. Why I had that idea. I love that little setup right there with the people faces and it's rotating like that. That's a beautiful setup. Now the real question for me, as someone that plays the game, is a set going to actually resemble it to this when we get it in the video game? Hopefully it does to some extent, but 2K's been doing a good job with that at least. And then we got Stephanie here. Yeah, we appreciate you, Steph, but we not here for you. Let's get back to the stage. Thank you. That's a beautiful set right there. And that is the arena. So to get back to it, I think that's a perfect segue just to get to WrestleMania, but we got some more comments. This is a funny one. Shout out to Chris. Yeah, appreciate the comment.
That's why he no-showed that pay-per-view.
Maria with the comment. I hate Pat McAfee. I hated that we had his characters in the game last year, but I think he's pretty good for what he does for the company. He's entertaining as hell on the commentary team. Some of his antics, do I agree with everything? No, but overall, I think he's necessary for what they asked him to do and provide. So,
I think he was better fighting.
Yeah. Fernando says the stage is fire. I agree. I think WrestleMania 40 stage is going to be heavily underrated because how simple it looked. But sometimes simple is good. Like WrestleMania 40 stage was really, really good. At first, I didn't like it, but when you watched it live, it was like, oh, it kind of fits like the norm. Like it was perfect. This stage, I like it. I feel like I gotta see it live. I feel like from the video, it looked like they try to do a little too much at certain spots of the stage setup, but overall, I think it's a really good stage.
Yeah, and we also got to see, people's entrances and stuff.
Yes. Also, it was reported that obviously Cena's gonna have his entrance. Cody's supposed to have a special entrance. Roman, I think they're gonna have CM Punk have them perform his Cult of Personality live. And I also heard a rumor that Tiffany Stratton's gonna get a personal entrance. Those are the only names I heard. Obviously, others may get their own, like a Bianca, Rhea, things of that nature, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised. We probably gonna definitely have Charlotte have her own little touch. So with that being said, I'm gonna pull up the quick updated match card for everyone to see if they don't know what it is for WrestleMania. Here it is right here from Bleacher Report. So we have night one. Let me zoom in actually so everyone can see that a little better. Perfect. So here, night one, we have Gunther versus Jey Uso, which is opening the show tomorrow. I am not surprised by that. Rey Mysterio then is going to go up against Chad Gable, El Grande Americano. I'm sorry. Then we have the War Raiders. I'm happy for them. They finally get some bigger TV time, but I would have loved to see the Street Profits on the WrestleMania card, but we're going to talk about that in a moment. But the War Raiders versus the New Day, which I believe if anyone's going to win that match, it should be the New Day. Then you have Jade and Naomi. I think it's going to be a banger match. LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, Stratton versus Flair, and then we have the main event, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, which I think their video package to tell the main event was Chef's Kiss. I think it's up there with My Way or the Highway as far as a video package itself. The song honestly won't catapult My Way. Nothing will. But this is a match card for night 1. And they say projected order, but this is pretty much going to be the order, at least when it comes to the opening and the closing matches. So, Ty, I'll let you go first. What's your predictions on the night 1 card?
Well, yeah, I'll go in order. Like I said, if Jey Uso was opening, he was winning. If this was in the middle of the card, he was losing. But, yeah. And especially Triple H's comments yesterday describing Jey Uso pretty much gave it away that, yeah, they're capitalizing on the Yeet movement. So he's getting this belt. Now, will he hold it for long? Time will tell. But he's winning this match. But I think the last couple weeks of Gunther has been amazing. And it just sucks that we got the best version of him pretty much
this entire heavyweight title run.
Yeah, in his whole run towards the end. So the next match, I don't really care, bro. Rey Mysterio's winning it. I think it's more disrespectful to Chad Gable. If this said Rey Mysterio versus Chad Gable, I'm all for it. But I didn't like this from the jump because I think this should have been the way you debuted Rey Fenix at WrestleMania. But obviously, yeah, Rey Mysterio is going to win, and he's going to unmask Chad Gable. That's it. The World Tag Team titles, I don't know why they did this. If there was if they were like, okay, we only had time for one tag team title match, why not do
Street Profits in Motor City?
Yeah, why not do the better tag team champions versus the actual new team you signed about a year ago, who has a chance to do their first WrestleMania match? But hey, what do I know? I think if Big E's there, War Raiders retain. But I wouldn't be surprised New Day just get another accolade, call it a day.
I'll explain why they have to win once you finish up, but they have to win this match.
Well, yeah, because their story is whack. You need something to care about this.
Yeah.
So if they lose to the War Raiders, I don't care about the New Day. Now, if they win, they can do something more with it. Jade, Naomi, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Best thing they can do is have Naomi win, and I think they should. U.S. title, give it to Fatu. The poor LA Knight, he's so over, but I don't know. It's something about it. Like, he's one of those where it's better when he's chasing the title. Because once he has the title, it just, for some reason, it doesn't hit the same. Okay. Even though he's excellent on the mic, you know. Then the women's title.
Go ahead and say it again. You said it last week.
This is going to be a stinker, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Somebody's going to sandbag somebody, bro. And we're just going to be laughing this whole time. But I will say this. This is the battle for the second best blonde in WWE. Because in a couple more months, when Mariah May gets in, it's over. We don't care about no blonde.
She's going to be in NXT, but... Yeah.
I would not put Mariah May in NXT, bro. We going straight to the main roster, bro. Let's keep it going. But I hope Tiffany retains because if she loses, poor her, because the storyline hasn't been great. Title run hasn't been great. There's nothing else they can do. Then the triple threat match. This is going to be too overbooked. And I'm kind of leaning towards Paul Heyman siding with Seth Rollins.
Okay.
Because I think it's too obvious for the CM Punk. I think it's too obvious because that's what the story's been telling.
And I was one of the first ones here to say it before they even started telling the story.
But I think Seth pinning Reigns is the best way. It's the best way they could go, because not only did he pin him once at Mania, and it's technically a triple threat match, you're gonna pin him again.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So my turn. Before I go into, I'm gonna read some of these comments. I was just letting you get off your takes. But we have a lot of comments. So Fernando, I'm gonna start with you because I'm gonna save Maria's for the last. Say the best, not the best, but save hers for last because I actually want to indulge in that in just a moment. Fernando mentioned the Prophet should be on the card. We all agree. They will be defending the titles tonight on SmackDown against Motor City Machine Guns. For those who don't know, on the SmackDown Go Away show before Mania. Big E will appear and cost a New Day match. I was thinking that also. That will be the only saving grace for the New Day losing. And I'm going to explain a little bit more on that once I get to that. And then Fernando also mentioned WWE squandered all the heat they received from turning on Big E. Yep, I'm going to get to that as well. HBK and Bret Hart hated each other but created magic in the ring. This is a comment towards the Stratton and Charlotte Flair match you made, which I'm going to talk about as well also. And then lastly, he mentioned Heyman helps and sides with Steph. Now that's a good way to angle to go out with. Although for those who've been watching, I said it weeks before they had the whole CM Punk contract signing and Punk announced to the world what the favorite was. I said the best way you tell this story is you can do what you did last year similar, where you have Reigns in the ring. He has to decide whether he's going to go after Punk or Steph. His hatred for Steph and what he did to the Shield is going to overwhelm Roman, and he's going to attack Steph. He's going to go for the pin. Paul Heyman breaks the pin because, again, it's triple threat. That means there's no DQ. And he sides with Punk. And that tells the story with Punk and Roman and Paul for the summer. And you kind of let Seth do his own thing now. So that was the route I've been saying. I'm going to stick with that. Despite there's some changes going on with Rollins potentially getting that. But I will say the only person that shouldn't win this match is Roman. Roman has no business winning this match because it does nothing for him. So that's my prediction for the main event. Now, Maria's comment. It's a disgrace that the U.S. and IC Women's Championships is not getting defended on Mania. Yes and no. And you want to know why? Because they shouldn't have had those titles to begin with, in my opinion. The reason why I believe they shouldn't have those titles is because they don't even use the women on the rosters, on the main rosters enough anyway.
Exactly.
It's the same thing with the women's tag titles. They ruined the tag titles the moment they unified them. They should have kept them in NXT because NXT having the roster they have with the women, as deep as it is, they would have utilized them much more. And they had when they had the titles. You have Fatal Influence. They could have easily been held in the titles right now, for example. So that's one of my biggest reasons why I say yes or no. Yes, they should be on the main Mania because you want to make them feel more credible. Yes, but the reason I say no is because you haven't been utilizing them enough to where people want to care enough to see them. Like as much as I love the potential Ivy Nile, no one's gonna want to see an Ivy Nile and Lara Valkyria match. Hell, they'd probably only want to see Dakota Kai. And I love me some Dakota Kai, but they're not doing enough with the storytelling. And the fact that Raw can go 2.5 hours, even 3 hours on Netflix, and you're not utilizing the time properly, same with SmackDown, that's more on the writers. As far as the U.S. title, yes, to your comment, which you just post up, Chelsea Green deserves and should be on Mania because she's very entertaining. I think you're doing it with Damian Priest and Drew. I wouldn't mind seeing a Meat Chin, Chelsea Green, Sin City Street Fight because they had a great match on SmackDown when they had that dumpster match. So I would love to see that on Mania too. That's something they could just went right back to. But again, with WWE fashion, they're not utilizing them. So all in all, I probably agree with you, Maria, but I'm playing a little bit devil's advocate because I understand, and I don't agree with how they were utilizing the woman when it comes to the mid card. Because if it's not Bianca, Rhea, hell, Tiffy at this point, maybe Charlotte, they're not utilizing them. They're not even utilizing Bailey properly. Like, you had Bailey tagged up with Live Out Kara out of nowhere. When she was doing a feud with Roxanne, that just went by the wayside. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand it at all, what they're doing with these women. Liv Morgan, your biggest star of 2024, is in a tag team match? Like, what? You could have had her do a one-off with Alexa Bliss, who you just brought back at the Rumble. You're not even using Alexa Bliss. So that's the point I was making. Like, they're just not utilizing these women enough. Opposed to what is going on in NXT. And the Maria went in the comment, instead of Rey Mysterio and Chad Gable, Chester Green should have the U.S. match. Actually, I wouldn't have mind seeing both on the card. You can get rid of the looking at night one. You don't need the War Raiders tag match on there. I love it for them to get the TV time, but you could have told the story with Ray and Gable if you did it right. To Ty's point, if it's not Chad Gable, instead of using El Grande Americano, do without it. Or you could have had this. So I agree. And we have an imposter of El Grande Americano here, but even a better one, Ty. Appreciate the comment, El Grande.
Britacano.
That's dope. So yeah, that's my little one-off with the whole mid-card women's championships, because they're just not utilizing them, and it's already a useless title, in my opinion, for both brands. Or that can change if they actually utilize them post-Mania, which if they ain't utilizing them now, I'll say this, and I'm gonna go through my predictions. I'll spend so much time on this. Post-Mania, when they do all the NXT call-ups, because they already have a decent roster on both sides, sort of, for the main rosters. If they don't utilize these mid-card titles when they get those calls from NXT for the women, get rid of the titles. Get rid of them. There's too much women in the NXT roster who shouldn't even be there no more, who can be useful on the main roster with these mid-card titles. Athea Hale, JC Jane been there since almost damn near the pandemic. Like, why is she still down there? Like, so Triple H, the writers, you got till post-Mania. I'm gonna say we're in April. You got till June. If I still don't see no progress with these mid-card titles by June, just get rid of them. There's no need. Now, main card predictions. Heavyweight title. I said Jay was winning the moment he won the Rumble. Jay's gonna win the title. I believe he's gonna have a Damian Priest-like run, which is gonna be great for him. And yeah, Rey Mysterio and Chad Gable. I'm calling Chad Gable. I agree with you, Ty. I think that'd be the best way to do this. Ray wins and unmasked El Grande Americano, and then boom, everyone sees it's Chad Gable. Unless they have someone that can be a twin of his of sorts, and it's not really him. Like, imagine that's Austin Theory or something, or Grayson Waller dressed up as him. That'd be kind of funny. Although I highly doubt it, but that'd be funny to see. The World Tag Championship match. Obviously, it should be the Street Profits. I'm going New Day for this match, and the reason being is back to what Fernando mentioned in the comments. You had them turn on Big E, which is one of the biggest turns you had of the year, and you done nothing with it. Matter of fact, the first thing you do is have them lose. That's how you ruin. I don't know why WWE does this, but every time you turn someone heel, and it's a good heel turn, the very first thing you do is have them lose, and that takes all credibility from the heels. They can't lose their first match after they turn heel. Like, that should be in the law book. Don't do that. So unless you have Big E come back, like you said, Ty, that's the only reason I'll be okay with New Day losing. The New Day has to win this match if you want to make them credible as heels. And it might do some justice for them on the Raw side of the tag team division. Jade and Naomi, I think this can still the show outside of the main event if Jade is a little bit more comfortable and comfortable in the ring. And if they get time to tell this story. I think this will be a very, very, very good match. And the reason why I think this can still the show outside of the main event is because of the next prediction with LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. I feel like this match is going to be quick. I think LA is going to put up a quick fight, but Fatu is going to be the dominant one. It's going to pretty much essentially squash him, or in the NBA terms, a gentleman sweep, and Jacob becomes a champion. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. I actually disagree with you, Ty. I believe they're going to put on a banger match because if you look at Charlotte's track record, when it comes to build-ups of Mania, it's been ass. It's been dog water. But when it comes to the match itself, it's been 1, 2, 3, Shorty George. It's been phenomenal. So I think it's going to be a great match. Tiffany Stratton's going to retain, I believe. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I have Punk winning the main event match. Fernando with some comments. WWE doesn't book kills good, just baby faces. I agree. Then he said, same comment. Jay gets herself DQ for being too emotional. That's a good way to say. Now, I'm not mad at that because I personally don't want Naomi to lose. Same thing I just said about the New Day. Naomi has to win this match. Although, to save her character and Jade and to tell the story long term, you can have Jade DQ herself to your point. So that's a great point. And Jacob squashing LA Knight. Dollar Store Stone Cold is crazy. Don't do that to my guy, LA. Yes, I can see that. And honestly, I can see LA moving to Raw. Because you're going to need some more people on that Raw brand to feud for that main title. And I thought he should have moved to Raw this past quote-unquote draft. So, yeah, it will suck, obviously, because LA Knight and what he's been able to do with the fans in the ring work. But yes, I agree. I think he gets squashed. In time, we're gonna move right along to night 2. Your favorite card of the weekend. Here is the card right here. I'll let you go off and give your predictions.
Yeah. Women's triple threat. Like I said, this needs to end with Io Sky as champion. I am going to be very disappointed if they give it to Bianca. Even though she deserves it. But, dude, I need to see Io Sky hold that belt. And this whole feud has pretty much been Bianca versus Rhea Ripley, with Io Sky feeling like the third person.
The middle child.
And she's the champ. So I think there should be a point in the match where Bianca and Rhea is just too focused on each other. And Io Sky comes in last minute, and wins the match. I think that's best. The better way to book it.
It's been reported, not to cut you off, that Pat McAfee hinted on his show that President Donald Trump will potentially be at WrestleMania 41.
Oh, it's over, man.
But I'll let you continue. I literally just read the report just now. That's okay. Sure.
So AJ Styles, Logan Paul. Now, there's amazing matches on this card. This from just reading it might be the third worst on paper. However, I think if there's anyone to steal the show, it is these two. Because AJ Styles can pretty much still do everything Logan Paul can do right now. So you're gonna see them go back and forth. Now, who wins? I don't want to see Logan Paul beat AJ Styles. AJ Styles needs something bigger. And like I said, I think AJ Styles should be the next feud for the next WWE champion, which I'll talk about. So I think he needs this win more than Logan Paul, in my opinion. Now, the women's tag titles, I swear if they give it to Bayley and Lyra, I'm done with this company. Too much titles and the same people. Like, no. I will say this. Poor Roxanne. Can we think about this? Runner up for the Royal Rumble beats Raquel Gonzalez in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match.
Had a great showing in the chamber.
Great showing in the chamber. Fights on SmackDown. Feuds with Bayley, or if you want to call that a feud.
Yeah,
I didn't know what was going on.
They completely forgot about that. And now she's on the kickoff show.
She is on the pre-show to Stand and Deliver this weekend. Get out of here.
You could have all will be forgiven if they have her interfere in this tag team championship match.
Yes.
It wouldn't make sense because she literally beat Raquel, but she will only do that because she's going to cost Bayley the match.
And I need to see her post Raw Mania, post SmackDown Mania. I don't care what it is. I need to see her in a real storyline, or I'ma just agree what you talked about earlier. They got all these titles and all these women, and they only know what to do with like 5 of them. So I think Liv and Raquel keep the belts. I think NXT up and coming tag team should be taking the belts off. In my opinion, it should be I'll come back to that, but because I'm forgetting the tag team right now. But I'll tell you who should take the belts off.
For the women's tag team, Lash legend Jakara Jackson, Metaphor.
Not Metaphor.
Is it Sol Ruka and Zarya?
Nah, they're slipping my mind. They're on the main roster. They're not on NXT.
Oh, you talking about Kaden Carter and
yes, Kaden Carter.
Oh, I don't know why they're not utilizing the only real. Let me not say real. The only legit.
Nah, you can say it, bro. This is literally the realest tag team they have,
and they're not even utilizing them.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's very disrespectful. They're not holding these belts.
Can they please? Fernando said this about LA Knight, but we have the real Dollar Tree 99 and under IRS in Alba Fire and Piper Niven. Like, can we excuse my language for fuck's sake, bro? Because this is pissing me off. Why is Alba Fire in this faction? She doesn't need it. Like, how you become one of the longest reigning UK women's champions ever?
Well, like when you release her tag partner and you don't want to face the scrutiny of not having her on TV, what you do? You put her randomly. She didn't need to be there.
I love Unholy Union for what it's worth at some point, but she didn't even need to be in that.
Yeah, she didn't need to be in the tag team at all.
Like, I just, oh my God, bro. And it's like you need heel women on the roster that people can actually believe. You could have had her feuding with Tiffy before Mania, at least. If you was gonna give Charlotte the reign, hell, you could have had. If you was building her up properly, she could have won them. She could have won Rumble.
Exactly.
Obviously not current day because at this point her credibility as a character was
it's nothing. Yeah.
But it's just like I just don't understand. And she can go in the ring. She's not bad on the mic. She could tell a story like her. I don't know, bro. I just don't know.
I told you when she came back as IRS 2.0. I'm like, the only way I'm for it is if she's taking the belt off of Chelsea.
Yeah,
and she does her own thing. But that seems like that's gonna come months and months.
Like
now.
probably
And
like summer.
I can't do it.
Summer type time.
Yeah.
Like imagine her versus Becky. If they had her, if they can reinvent Alba as the heel, her and Becky will feed families in a feud.
Her with anybody.
Literally. But yeah, real quick, because I know we both got to go soon, so I'm gonna go give my predictions really quickly. I won't give too much backstory. The triple threat for the women's match, I'm gonna go with Io to win this. I think she's the deserving and most best pick to win. I think this is gonna help tell the story of Rhea being a heel which is great for her. I love her as a heel better than a face, especially with her gimmick. It's perfect as a heel. Bianca, I don't know where she really fits in this post Mania one if she loses. Although I won't be surprised if she wins because she hasn't lost at Mania yet. So I want to put that out there. And people have been talking about that. So we'll see with that. And if she does win, it'll be a great way to kind of tell that story with her, Naomi, and Jade for the summer. AJ and Logan Paul is going to be a good match. I'm expecting at least one, maybe even two. Oh my God, OMG moments of the weekend between those two. I love Logan Paul's new finisher, by the way. I think it's really nice. So yeah, I will probably go with Logan winning this match. Next, the tag team championship match. Liv has to win this match. Liv and Raquel has to win. You have the fake Diesel and Raquel Rodriguez, which I think they just need to bring her back as the badass heel she was in NXT. That's perfect. Like, please get back to that. But yeah, they win this match clean. Bayley probably eats the pin. I hope Bayley eats the pin because I don't want to see my mid-card champion eat the pin.
You think Bayley's eating the pin?
I would hope so. And it will make perfect sense if they have Roxanne interfere. That way she eats the pin. Because you wouldn't want your mid-card champion eating a pin at Mania, but you know, WWE.
Yeah, but if they're trying to piggyback on their feud, someone got to be the heel. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bayley walks out on Lyra or something to that extent. Miscommunication. You know how tag team matches go.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it won't hurt her as much as losing a clean pin. But let's say Bayley accidentally hits her, gets thrown out the ring.
I like this comment too. Dakota Kai. That's a good point.
I don't know.
I don't see where she fits in.
Yeah, I don't see where she fits. Now, Dakota Kai helping Io Sky retain the belt. That's something I could get down.
Or maybe Kairi Sane comes back in Oscar.
I'm all for it.
Next, I think this is gonna be one of the best matches on both nights. If they give because it all depends on the time. They gotta give these people time.
Yeah.
The Ice Heat 4-way match, and I was pretty much spot on, except the only person that's missing is Kaiser. I would love to see Kaiser involved in this some way, somehow. But nonetheless, you got Braun, Penta, Finn, and Dominic. I will say this: Penta's not winning this match.
You don't think so?
It's too soon. Braun is not winning this match. It will be a new champion. Unless they're going to tell the story with him and Penta post-Mania. If they don't go that route, I will personally love to see Dominic win just to see the reaction. But if you're telling the story that you've been telling between him and Finn, hear me out, Ty. Finn winning this match will be perfect. Because it just rubs it in more against Dom, and Dom can finally break through that glass ceiling. And as much as he's hated as a heel, imagine him as a face. And then you tell the story between him and Dominic in the summer, and it cultivates that Mania. Because I think Judgment Day, for what it's worth, is going to break up. And I think this could be a long-term story because you can bring back JD from the injury to help Finn keep the belt until SummerSlam. Or you go where Finn wins it. Obviously, Braun gets his rematch. Finn, being the snake that he is, finds a way to do heelish-like things and retain. And then Penta, Finn, SummerSlam. It all comes to a full circle with Dom finally turning his back in a good way. Him turning face, costing Finn the belt. And now you tell that post SummerSlam feud between Finn and Dom. Because you could do that feud with or without the belt. And Penta comes champion at SummerSlam. So there's so many routes you can go with having Finn win the belt. So my pick will be Finn if I had to choose.
Yeah, I don't think it's like Fernando says, I don't think it's too early for Penta. If I'm ranking all four of these competitors to most likely winning the belt, to least likely, I'm going to go Dominic at 1, Penta at 2, Finn at 3, and Braun Breaker retaining at 4. Because I don't think there's not much Braun Breaker can still do with this Intercontinental belt. So I'd rather him start focusing on the world title right after Mania. I think Dominic does win because I think this is where the turn comes. This is where Finn gets kicked out of Judgment Day because he's eating the pin. Dominic's pinning him. Judgment Day turns. You know, that's way you can still set up the feud of Dominic versus Finn. But I think it's just realistically, I either see Dominic or Penta winning this match. And I think the Penta thing is dope because it kind of helps WWE because this guy just came in a couple months ago, first WrestleMania, and now he got a belt. So if I'm in another company and I think WWE really likes me, this is the type of push you can get, you know.
Fair enough. Next on there, we have the Sin City Street Fight. Drew and Damian Priest. I believe Drew should win this match. And hopefully later on down the line, depending on how the main event goes, which I'm about to get into, he can become champion later on this year. I think he's long overdue to be a champion at some point. It doesn't have to be a long title reign, but he deserves to have the moment. Last longer than a cash-in. And last but not least, the main event, Rhodes and Cena. Cena has to win this match.
Yeah, or they completely botched the.
I don't exactly like Cena as a heel has to win this match. And from all purposes, I hope this match is really, really good as far as in-ring work because I know Cody can hold up his end of the bargain as far as making Cena look good. I just hope Cena has the gas to keep up. Well, I think it's going to be a spot fest. I think we're probably going to see a lot of what we've seen last year's Mania, which people loved it. I'm not that big on it, but I didn't think it was bad either, to say the least. But that's kind of where my thought process goes with that as far as Cena and Rhodes. Rhodes losing the belt here is not a bad thing because I like him chasing the belt anyway. And Cena breaks the record in the most heelish way possible, and people hate it. And it's going to bring more fans, more people talking, more buzz. And then with all the international pay-per-views coming up, if you have him on the match, it's going to sell even more tickets because it's his last run. If you're someone that lives in Mexico, Ireland, Berlin, you're going to want to see Cena before he retires, especially if you never got the chance to. So it's good in that realm as well.
Yeah, I just think how it just depends how he works. You know, is he doing a hill? Is he working like a hill? You know, because he's gonna limit his moves, just do like little stuff, you know. But now is he gonna wrestle like this is his last year in the business? Then I think he could keep up with Cody. But I think I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a lot of overbooked stuff. You're gonna see The Rock. You're gonna see Travis Scott. Yeah,
and that's gonna be I'm actually more excited to see Cody get that receipt than anything on Travis Scott.
Yeah, so and you have to have someone backing up Cody. So I think you need Stone Cold.
Fernando with a swerve with how the main event ends. He says Jeff Cobb appears and helps Cena wins and serves as Cena's heater and enforcer for The Rock.
I heard about this theory, and listen.
Jeff Cobb debuting at Mania.
Like I said, if WWE wants to pretty much send a threat to other companies like, yo, we'll take your people and book them better. That's how you book Jeff Cobb. There's no limit for somebody. My only thing is the average WWE fan probably doesn't know who Jeff Cobb is. However, if you having him debut with The Rock, they just gonna assume he's another Samoan.
And I'm glad you mentioned
and they'll be for it.
Because I was thinking Helico can help and serve that same position and role.
Yeah, but
he's not gonna be. How's he ain't gonna be the ring in ring?
Yeah,
guy
he can't.
like,
that's what I'm saying. He's not too like. I think about it how when Jeff Cobb debuted in AEW, literally walked in the ring, Jericho sent him out, and he literally just went crazy. Hit his finishing move 3 times, and that was it. So if they do something similar, he hitting Cody with his finisher 3 times in the ring, I'm all for it. But I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Also, because it's reported that Randy Orton will get his WrestleMania match this weekend. I don't know if that's gonna be set in stone.
But they said it's an open challenge.
And it's reported that they might have Rusev come back as the open challenge against Randy at Mania.
I don't know.
So just wanted to put that out there. That either or that'll be a nice little touch. What if it's Aleister Black? I would love to see Aleister Black as the mystery competitor.
My problem is these guys left AEW because they didn't want to take pins.
You think they don't take the pin if they come back?
Yeah, like Randy has to win. Why else is he getting a match?
Well, if you put it that way, then give it to my guy Mello.
I think it's actually going to be Nick Aldis, and I'm all for it.
I am too. That wouldn't be bad. Real quick before we wrap up, I know we're going to give our top 10, but we're going to just read off the top 10 that Russell Ops posted from WWE, and if you guys are watching, leave your comments on your thoughts on it, as well as we will give our comments on it as well, and then we're going to wrap up the show right there. So let me share my screen, and then we're going to get right to it. So here it is. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Perfect. We'll scroll down. So the top 50 WrestleMania matches. At 50, you have Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 38. Then you have Sting versus Triple H at WrestleMania 31. Cena versus The Rock, WrestleMania 28. I think this is round 2 of their matchup, which is pretty low. You have Goldberg versus Lesnar at WrestleMania 33. Then you have Mr. T and Hogan versus Piper and Paul Orndorff at WrestleMania 1. Has to be on the list given the context of the show. Then 45. I think this is way too low. Batista versus Taker at WrestleMania 23 is a very heavily underrated match. I think this should be a little higher on the list. At 44, you have Rollins versus Triple H at WrestleMania 33. Real quick, we have a comment from Fernando. Randy can lose. His legacy is secure. I agree. I don't think they will do that route, though.
Whoever made this list obviously doesn't like WrestleMania 23 because
whoa.
Both of them should not be in the 40s.
John Cena and Michaels WrestleMania 23 at 43? That's a top 15. And
in the next one shouldn't even be in the 40s either. So this list is terrible.
Mick Foley and Edge at 42?
Ridiculous.
I love the Boneyard cinema between AJ and Taker. There's no way in hell that match is better. That wasn't really a real match. That should not be higher than Cena, Michaels, Edge, Foley. Let's move on. At 40, we have WrestleMania 31, Roman and Brock. This was their best match up until the last man standing at SummerSlam. So I think this could be a little higher. Drew, Gunther, and Sheamus at 39 for 39. Okay. If you see behind me, hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, you see the poster behind me. They got that at 38, Guerrero and Kurt Angle. Fernando agrees. Batista and Taker's too low. I think he's referring to the other match. Okay, moving along. We're going to go through this quickly. Where was I? Okay, 37. Triple H, Taker, WrestleMania 27. Okay. Becky and Bianca at WrestleMania 38 for 36. Feels a little low. Daniel Bryan, Kofi at 35. At 35, okay. Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair at 34 is criminal. Like, that shouldn't be that low. Randy Savage and Ric Flair, WrestleMania 8. Okay. WrestleMania 30 main event, Orton, Batista, and Daniel Bryan. I feel like that could be a little low. Yeah, it should be higher than Charlotte, Banks, and Becky at WrestleMania 32. That was a great match, but that should be higher. The Usos versus Owens and Zayn, top 30 Mania. I can see that. Okay. But it shouldn't be higher than Michaels and Cena or Batista and Taker. WrestleMania 28, Edge and Taker should be a little higher. In fact, Taker, if those who don't know the backstory, Taker wanted Edge to win that night and break the streak. Edge said no. He said the streak should stay intact. He didn't want to take it. So I agree, Fernando. This list is trash. And who made the list? WWE, from what it seems like, by Russell Ops. Next we have, where was I? Okay, 28. Daniel Bryan versus Triple H at WrestleMania 30. That was one of the best, if not one of the greatest opening Mania matches ever. At 27, you have Savage and Hogan, the Mega Powers. Well, no need to explain for that. Taker and Michaels, WrestleMania 26. At 26? No. Hell. And I know this is the second match of Streak versus Career, but this is arguably a top 10 WrestleMania match ever. Like, what are we doing with this?
I think both of their matches should be top 20 given. So,
yes. The fact that it's not top 25 is, I don't know who made this list. Piper versus Bret Hart. This was a really, really good match. This can be top 20.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
How in the hell do they? Yeah, no. Steve Austin and Kevin
Owens.
Top 25? No. And I love this. This was a great match for what it's worth, given the context. But top 25 is no. CM Punk versus Undertaker, WrestleMania 29 at 23. Okay. This match is too low. Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21 is a top 6 match.
Yeah, and look at the 2 matches above it. Get out of here.
You're telling me the Rousey match is top 25? The match that Triple H carried? No.
Yeah, Triple H had to carry all of them.
I'm probably on the island on this, but I don't think Rock and Roman, the tag team match
wasn't. Yeah, it was.
I don't know if that's top 20. I don't think that's top 20.
It was okay, but not top 20.
Yeah, I don't agree with this at all. Next, where did I leave off? Like, I can read from the screen now. I don't have to be on the actual tab. We was at 20.
19. Yeah.
19. Perfect. 19, we have Sasha and Bianca, rightfully so. I believe that's a top 20 match. I think Bianca and Becky's match should be a little higher too. At 18, we have Triple H and Undertaker. This is too low. End of them era. Hell in a Cell match. This should be around the top 10. WrestleMania 19, Lesnar and Angle is definitely not better than Angle and Guerrero or Angle and Shawn. At 16, we have Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. I'm okay with this spot for now. I'm okay with this spot. 15, Hogan and Warrior, WrestleMania 6. I'm okay with this. The Iron Man match, Brett and Shawn, not a bad spot. I think it's better than the ladder match. That's at 12, which we're about to get to. At 13, Rock and Stone Cold, WrestleMania 19. I think Shawn that was a good match, but I'll probably go Shawn and Brett a little higher. 12, we had the first ladder match between Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, rest in peace, and Shawn Michaels. This is a good spot. Brett and Owen at WrestleMania 9 is too low. This should be inside the top 10. In my opinion.
This should be closer
to like 5.
Yep.
Yeah. 10, Rousey, Becky, Charlotte. Too high.
I honestly I prefer.
I would put Rhea and Charlotte's match above
Yep.
this match. This
Yeah,
was a damn good match. This
honestly,
WrestleMania was just long.
yeah, those two women matches, Rhea Charlotte and Sasha Belair, I prefer it over the triple threat. But you know, given the history of the triple threat, I understand why this will always be ranked high.
Yes, I agree with that too. So this is where I start having some problems because we're inside the top 10. Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, one of the best matches in the early stages of WrestleMania.
I don't know how
This is
that
too low. It's too low because when we get to the match, I'm going to explain why. Andre the Giant, Hogan, obviously given the historic background behind it, sure. But if you are a real wrestling fan like myself and Ty, and I assume Fernando, we all know Andre getting body slammed by Hogan happened 1,000 of times before this moment. In fact, they had way better matches before this match. But I want to give credit where it's due to Andre because his back was, in all intents and purposes, he didn't have a back, if we're being honest. If you knew his health history at that time, Vince had to beg him to do this match. And the fact that he even took that spot, given that he couldn't hardly stand up, all praises to the eighth wonder of the world. Continue to rest in peace. Austin and Hart better be top 3. It is. Rightfully so. And then Hogan and Andre was not that good. It wasn't, but given the context I just provided, I'm okay with it being in the top 10. Because it's kind of like, think of WrestleMania 14 where you had Shawn and Austin, and Shawn was battling that back injury, and he couldn't even stand, and he still put up a solid match in the main event. Think of that, but 10 times worse. That's what Andre was going through. On top of him being damn near 7'3", 500-something pounds. So, given that context, I'm okay with it. Okay, number 7. This should be top 5. Hardy's, Dudley's, Edge and Christian TLC match. I can make an argument for top 3, but I think it should be at least at 5. And number 6, this is where people are gonna have pushback with me. Cody and Roman, WrestleMania 40 is not top 6. I will argue it could be as high as 10 to 12. For me personally, I think 39 was better than 40 as far as the match. The whole semantics at the end is probably why people love it. I might be on the outside looking in on that, but that's just me personally. I think WrestleMania 40 match was spectacular though. I just like 39 a little bit more. Fernando agrees with me. Okay. Moving right along. Number 5, we're at the top 5 now. We have, this is too low. The Rock and Stone Cold, WrestleMania 17 is at 5. First of all, I love Hogan and The Rock, but that should not be at 3.
Yeah.
That I will swap those two easily. Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat, WrestleMania 3 is in the perfect spot. I think it's a perfect spot.
Right.
Where it needs to be. You could argue it 3 to 5, but that match was phenomenal. For those who are younger than us, if you're into wrestling, I would encourage you to go back and watch that match. You have to watch it with an open mind because the style of wrestling is not the same, but it's a phenomenal match. In fact, it's one of Randy's best matches considering his work style in the ring. He kind of goes out of that norm with Ricky. So, yes. And then, of course, you got Hogan and Rock at 3, which we disagree with. Go Austin and Rock better be better than Rock and Hogan. Yes. I agree. The match and the build-up was way better. I just believe given the 2 stars itself is why they have it so high. I can see where their mindset of why they have it at 3. I just don't agree with it. Then you have Bret and Stone Cold, WrestleMania 13 at number 2, which I'm okay with, given that we have Taker and Shawn, WrestleMania 25 at 1. If it was anything else at number 1, I would disagree with it. But because it's WrestleMania 25, I'm cool with Bret being number 2. So this is their list. This was made the fullest of WWE's top 50 WrestleMania list of all time, presented by Wrestle Ops. So, of course, they didn't put a name on this, Fernando, to let us know who exactly is behind this list. But this is their list. So, that is going to be it. Any last thoughts on that list, Todd, before we wrap up?
I will say this, that HBK and Taker Mania 25 is going to be pretty much a lot of people's number one for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I would, before we go, I'll just ask both of us this.
Yep.
You think, seeing that we have a list now, do you think any matches this weekend can end up in the top 15, top 10? And if so, what matches you think, or match, I should say?
Yeah, that's a great question. Before I get to it, are we doing a post-Mania review this weekend? I'm cool with doing, yeah, for sure. We have to just make sure our schedules align, but definitely.
Probably do it after Monday, so we could get the Raw after Mania.
Yeah, we're gonna talk behind the scenes to make sure everything works out, Fernando. But definitely. Also, we will be doing finishing up the mock draft for the NFL next week, right before the draft, because the draft is coming up. If we don't do that, we might do a live reaction to the draft for at least the first round. So stay tuned to that. We're going to work behind the scenes on that to kind of give you guys the best content we can. Now, to answer your question, Ty, the match I believe that can potentially reach top 15 status, I would probably lean towards only one match, and that's probably Punk, Rollins, and Reigns. And that's giving the context of the build-up, the storyline behind it, and how much of the story they're going to tell. Because one thing that I know Roman has done since he became the Tribal Chief character, he's great in ring psychology when it comes to telling a story. And that's right up CM Punk's alley. Because we all know CM Punk isn't the most athletic person, but he's damn good at telling a story. And then you have Seth Rollins, who most people deemed him to be the Shawn Michaels of this era. I think it smells a top Mania match of all time, if they tell it correctly. I will say one match, since you asked that question, I just thought about that, was not on this damn list. And I think I know why.
Yeah, we know why.
But I'm going to say it. I don't care. Triple H, Shawn Michaels. I'm not going to say his name out of respect for those who are still sensitive about the topic. And now, for obvious reasons, I don't disagree or blame them not to be. But WrestleMania 20 Triple Threat main event should have been on this list by far. It is the best Triple Threat match of all time at Mania, and all time period, in my opinion. And I believe if any match can have a conversation with it outside of Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew, it's the match we're going to see tomorrow night. So that's my take. Maria, my apologies. Excellent stream. Thank you. Appreciate you for showing up and commenting. Much love. Also says she's excited about the draft. We are too, especially with all the changes that have been going on. We've been talking outside of the stream about it a lot, so we're excited to give you guys the content for that. And then Stephanie V should get drafted to the main roster. Valkyrie, yes, I agree. And she needs to be on SmackDown, given what the roster is looking like for the women's on that brand. And yes, if I don't gotta say it, the viewers will say it for me. I will say he was my favorite wrestler when it comes to in-ring work, technical work ever. Until I don't talk about it too much, given the situation, obviously. But I'm glad Kurt Angle brings it up all the time, because I think their feud was very, very slept on. So, yeah, that's that. But what about you, Ty? What would you believe is the match that's going to still or potentially become in the top 10, 15, 20 range of Mania?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it. The Triple Threat match. Because we keep going back to that triple threat you just mentioned.
At 20, yep.
This they pretty much got a similar feeling to it, other than one having the title on the line, the other one not having the title on the line.
Mm-hmm.
But like we said, pretty much WrestleMania triple threats have a good track history, and especially in recent years. So I would think that's probably the best one, and probably maybe even the only one that has a chance. I think sometimes I think like I said, when it comes to Cody and Cena, it depends how Cena's working. If he's working like the cowardless hill, from a match standpoint, it's not going to be as good. The story is going to be way better. But that triple threat, they're gonna give you that in-ring work. They're gonna give you that story all together. I think it has the most amazing chance. Don't sleep on the Fatal 4-Way, I would say.
Oh, that's gonna be a banger match. I don't know if it'll be in the top all time, because
I don't think it will be top 15, but it can. I think after we watch it Sunday, I think if we had to rank it on the list that we just saw, I think we can fit it somewhere. So yeah. I think they will have a good chance, because it's 4 different, pretty much different type of workers. Penta has the lucha. Dominic got a mixture of everything. Finn, Breaker. I mean, they got a good chance, but I think it's only the triple threat that really has the fill-in, and especially it helps that it's the main event. So
now, I was gonna say, if the Maria just posted a comment, I'm gonna post it up. This match can be a sleeper too. I was gonna bring up, but the reason why I didn't is because of the time. I don't know if it's gonna have enough time, and it's opening the show, and that's the women's triple threat match. I agree, it's being slept on. That would have been my other pick, along with the main event with Roman, Punk, and Rollins. The reason why I didn't pick it, as I just mentioned, it's the opening match, which therefore I don't think they get enough time to showcase it. But so yeah, I would agree with you, Maria. There was something else I was gonna say. Oh, that's what I was gonna say before, and we're gonna close out the show. Those in the comments, let us know live right now in the comment, or once we wrap up, and you can leave a comment under the episode. If we think about doing a spoken word episode, and that means we'll let the guests come on the show, give off some takes, talk to us. Your camera has to be on, though. We require your camera to be on. But yeah, let us know in the comments if you would like to see a spoken word episode where we let you guys, the viewers, come on the show with us, talk to us about some wrestling takes for a little bit and things of that nature. But that's going to wrap up today's show. We appreciate everyone that viewed and tuned in. Happy Good Friday to everyone. Hope you guys have a great Friday and weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy the break for those who are on break like myself. And we see you guys very, very soon. Maybe this weekend or early next week as well. So stay tuned. Keep that noti bell on. Leave a comment down below. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.